natural reserve of Villafáfila Lagoons is an oasis in the core of the wide region Tierra de Campos of Zamora. It is a group of lagoons with salty water formed by 3 big lagoons next to some other which are smaller located at the northeast of Zamora. The reserve was created in 1986 with the purpose of protecting 2 well-defined ecosystems, the grain steppe and the set of lagoons. They hold an extraordinary ornithology richness with an extension of 32,700 hectares. This marsh constitutes one of the most important in the north of the peninsula, and it is one of the most outstanding and renowned habitats for waterbird and a community interest site for European Union. Is part of the Red Natura 2000, and also it is included in the World Convention for Protecting Marsh Zones of International Relevance. In addition, it is declared as a natural reserve for hunting. The lagoons are located in a soft closed basin, so the water flows towards the inside. The most prominent lagoons are the Great Lagoon, Varillos Lagoon, and Lagoon of las Salinas. These are the biggest ones, next to some smaller ones like San Pedro Lagoon, Lagoon of Villarrín, Lagoon of Parva, Lagoon of Paneras, Rose Lagoon, and the Lagoon of the Fountain. The natural reserve of the lagoons is located between the course of River Esla and Valderagüey, which makes of this space a real natural treasure with great environmental wealth with a unique ecosystem due to its water and grounds highly saline. This allows the growth of a flora usual in marine zones, where the nutgrass or purple nutseeds stand out. In the sides of the lagoon can be found St. Augustine grass, daisy, dandelion, and couch grass predominantly. Without any doubt, the main potential of the reserve is on its wildlife. The great bustard is the queen of this marsh. The population of this habitat can reach 3,000 specimens, which makes of this a worldwide reference. It is the heaviest flying bird due to the volume of its body, but it is able to fly. The male specimens can have a size of up to 230 centimeters and a length of almost 1 meter. They are not easy to see, especially when they are around the fields, as they don't like the human presence because this animal is disturbed by the lack of quietness. So, for this reason, it is so important to be respectful with their habitat and environment. In this way, they will stay in this space living and reproducing themselves. The Park of the Wildlife in the House of the Park has some specimens which can be observed calmly. In addition to this, there can be seen some grey lag gooses as they stay in this zone during winter. For this reason, winter is the best season to visit the reserve, as there are also some harriers, kestrels, lesser kestrels, little bustards, and black-bellied sandgrosses. The wildlife of this lagoon is almost the 50% of the water birds in Castilla y León. In this water, there are also some other species like insects, spiders, fish, reptiles, amphibians, and mammals. It can be pointed out the presence, even if it is limited, of foxes, wolves, and boars. The lagoons and its populations is tightly linked to the different seasons. Winter and spring have the widest diversity of birds and the biggest population, and it is also when the lagoons are at its full capacity due to the rain. One of the best places to observe the set of lagoons is the Great Lagoon, located in Villafáfila, and it has the Park of the Wildlife and the House of the Park, or commonly known as Palomar, as in terms of architecture looks like this traditional and popular building in Tierra de Campos. The park house is located in the road that joins Villafáfila and Tapioles. The building at the entrance of the park is recommended before starting the walk through the lagoons. The center gives the necessary information about the lagoon and its vegetation and wildlife, how to walk around the reserve and what to visit. In the same way, it has information about different routes to visit the reserve and to observe the birds. There are also information boards and audiovisual materials with different recommendations and tips to enjoy the visit as much as possible. There are also information boards about the zone and the region of the natural reserve, and it gives information related to the municipalities and their way of life, traditions, and history which are directly related to the salty lagoons and its commercial exploitation. centuries, the richness of the saline waters was the main engine for the local economy. For this reason, either nobility and the church were established in this area to exploit it. Some boards have pictures of the evolution of the place since long time ago. Romans were one of the main inhabitants who took advantage of this salty treasure. Once the park house has been visited, the walk through the wildlife park can be started, going through 3 artificial lagoons with an extension of 23 hectares and create a real lagoon ecosystem. The lagoons are surrounded by vegetation to protect the birds and avoid them to get frightened. It has some small island inside to make easier the nesting process and get protection from predator animals. Throughout times, other birds which are not originally from the reserve use the islands for nesting. The visitors must follow the design paths and routes to respect as much as possible this natural space and its ecological value, to allow that the birds and other wildlife on it can be observed without disturbing them. For this reason, there is a path of 1,500 meters with viewpoints similar to dovecotes, where the birds can be observed at any time of the year. During breeding periods, the precautions taken should be higher. The park has also a resting area with tables, chairs and drinkable water. This zone is between the 3 lagoons, so it has a nice view of all the marsh. Although this place is the most attractive point to observe the wildlife, the reserve has some other viewpoints and points of interest. Once our visit to the house El Palomar and Wildlife Park is finished, it is recommended to visit the lagoons following one of the 2 proposed routes, the short one with 15 kilometers and the other with 34 kilometers, which lead to different viewpoints and to the 3 observatories. Observatory of the Great Lagoon in Otero de Sariegos. Its strategic location allows to see all the extension of the lagoon of Salina Grande. Winter is the perfect moment to visit this place, as it has one of the biggest populations of grey lag gooses arriving and leaving the lagoon. Observatory of Lagoon of Varillos in Revellinos de Campos, to directly observe the Rose Lagoon, Lagoon of Paneras and Lagoon of Varillos. It is one of the most visited. Observatory of San Pedro's Lagoon in Villarrín de Campos is the smallest lagoon with a viewpoint. Summing up, this countryside area conceals curious contrasts and makes of this place a privileged natural space, combining wide-grain fields with a unique ecosystem due to its saline characteristics. This reserve is a point with a great ecological value that we must respect, take care of and protect.